Okay, let's say you're hosting a small get-together, a listening session with friends, or a practice session in your hotel. What do you bring with you? So let's keep it 100. You're definitely not going to bring a EV EKX12. Or maybe you're considering bringing a JBL party box, or maybe even in this case, the Hisense HP100. They're all similar in size, but the reality is they are huge, especially when you're considering portability. I'm sure you've come across tons of portable speakers on the market, whether it be Amazon, eBay, Best Buy, places like that. They have tons of those portable Bluetooth speakers. But which one do you take if you want to have a small session like mentioned before? So we know for sure just not any speaker will do. It has to be a speaker that has a 3.5mm jack or 1/8 headphone jack on the end, so you can connect your RCAs from your controller directly into the speaker. Bluetooth will not work properly because it has so much latency. So it's important to find a speaker that will fit the bill. It has to be portable. It has to be able to do respectable lows. Sub bass is a bit much to ask for, 20 to 60 hertz, but some speakers are capable of getting down that low. But at least be able to accurately reproduce adjustments to filters, effects, scratching, back cueing, all that good stuff without being harsh or creating ear fatigue due to lack of clarity. Getting loud is not as important when considering the speaker you choose, but it will be factored in when you make your final decision. I have chosen a few speakers that have unique features. It may be a great option for you depending on your situation. But remember, each situation is different, everybody's hearing is different. So I've tried to come up, especially in this video, with a way that you can better understand what these speakers sound like or better represent their sound reproduction. Let's take a moment to discuss how I'm conducting these tests. So I'm using a Mixar's Primo controller, Serato DJ Pro, a Behringer mic, the ECM 8000, and a Behringer UMC 404 HD sound card. My goal was to choose speakers at the $100 or less price point. So some of them may be larger, smaller, more wattage, less wattage, but the idea here is to help you choose the one that fits your setup the best. A few things to consider would be whether the speaker has multiple drivers, a woofer and tweeter, passive radiators to improve bass response. From a DJ's perspective, when mixing, scratching, how well do these things sound coming through the speaker? Again, we're not focused on the light show, SD cards, FM radio built in, but rather a new concept that came to my attention is the DSP. Does it introduce any additional latency when listening to the speaker? And we'll cover that with one of the particular speakers on the list. The first speaker we have to take a look at is the Tron Smart Force Max. This speaker was pretty cool because it's a 2.2 channel system. So basically on each side of the speaker, you have two speakers, a woofer, as well as a tweeter and a passive radiator. And the best part is because there is a speaker on each side. So imagine you having a situation where you can project sound out to your audience and also have like a monitor or booth because there is a speaker on the back end that you can hear what you're actually doing. A few notable features for this speaker is the output is 80 watts. It's currently rated at IPX6. So what that means is strong jets of water. It can withstand rain, light spray, stuff like that, but not really rated for dust. Couple good things about the speaker is the battery is rated for 13 hours. The charge time is about 4 to 5 hours. And the frequency range, which is very unique for this type of speaker, is 20 to 20,000 kilohertz. Also, it is able to do stereo pairing. Next up, we have the Anker Soundcore Mini. Very small speaker, very small package. This will be great for portability. The output is only 5 watts, but don't let it fool you. It's definitely got some punch to it. But the battery only lasts up to 15 hours for this particular profile. The next speaker on the list needs no to little introduction. It is the JBL Charge 4. At some point in time, you have heard of the JBL series of speakers, whether it be the Flip, the Party Box, the Clip, the Go, the Extreme, the Flip. All of these speakers fall into the same category, so you know what the Harman Kardon quality represents. So the JBL Charge 4 is essential because this is one of the units that has the 3.5mm port, also known as the 1/8 headphone jack. The ones after the more recent versions of this type of speaker, they started to remove that port. So it's important for you to check before you purchase one and ensure that it does still have the analog input. So this speaker sports a single driver, output of 30 watts, IPX7 rating, which allows you to submerge it underwater for 30 minutes at 1 meter. The battery will hold a charge for up to 20 hours, 4 hours to charge, and it is stereo pairing. The frequency response is 60 Hz to 20,000 Hz. Next on the list is the Tribute Stormbox 2. I chose this speaker because it was fairly unique. It supports 3D surround sound, so it has a driver on each side of the enclosure to give the impression of sound surrounding your area. This speaker is 34 watts of power, IPX rating of 7, so again it will be able to handle being submerged underwater for 30 minutes at 1 meter. The battery lasts up to 24 hours, charge time is about 4 hours, the frequency range is about 70 to 20,000 hertz, and it does support stereo pairing. Another great offering from Anker is the Soundcore Motion Plus. This speaker has been talked about a lot online by reviewers. Specifically, the Rtings or Ratings website rated it at a 7.6 out of 10, and currently on Amazon it is a 4.6 out of 5. The speaker has 2 woofers and 2 tweeters along with a passive radiator. The output is 30 watts. It is also an IPX7 rated speaker, so it can be submerged underwater for 30 minutes at 1 meter. The battery life is up to 12 hours, charge time being 4 hours. The frequency range is 50 hertz to 40 kilohertz. Yes, 40,000 hertz. And it does also support stereo pairing. And last but not least is the Tronsmart Mertune S100. I chose this speaker because it has 2 tweeters and a woofer and passive radiators. The profile is about the size of the JBL, but just a little bit larger. The output is 50 watts. It is IPX7 and rated. Shouldn't have to go over that part again. But the battery life is 20 hours. The charge time is 4.5 hours. The frequency range is 50 hertz to 20 kilohertz, and it does support stereo pairing. Quick disclaimer before we move forward. I am not sponsored by or affiliated with any of the brands associated in this video. And with that out of the way, we have a lot of information to cover, so let's go ahead and get started. I started off my testing with REW, which is Room EQ Wizard Room Acoustic software. I use this software to do sweeps so you can get a better representation of what each speaker sounds like. Of course, YouTube's compression does alter the sound quality a little bit, but at least with these graphs, you'll be able to get a better representation, visual representation of what these speakers can do. Each test was done at an 85 decibel sound sweep, so I think that's a reasonable level, at least to have a speaker, producing sound in the middle of a room. So it's not too loud, but it's not too soft. So for the keen eye viewers, you probably noticed that I added in the high sense just as a quick test. This will give you a representation of using a larger profile speaker compared to some of these portable ones. The first speaker frequency response that you see here or range is the high sense. As you can see here, the speaker does very well up until 40, then it starts to roll off. And then from, I would say about 45 hertz and down, it starts to roll off again. So this would be kind of the extreme case or the high case of what it could sound like potentially, but you're also looking at a speaker that's a lot larger than anything that we're testing today. Feel free to pause the video at any time if you want to take a closer look at any of the graphs. I tried to split them up so you'll be able to see the differences a little better. But in the next segment or video segment, you will see highlighted each speaker so you can get a closer look at how it compares to other speakers. But I will post this graphs on the X-Faders website for you to take a closer look. But the key takeaways that I would like for you to see in this video is the difference between the bass response. So anything below 100 hertz, look how far the speaker extends down below. Also look on the high end, so look up there at the treble part, how well it reproduces anything around that 16,000 to 20,000 hertz. As previously mentioned, this is the overlay, so each one will be highlighted so you can compare them between the other speakers. Again, all of this information will be posted on the X-Faders website. I'll leave the link in the description down below. So the next portion of the test is focused on sound quality. So that will include filter adjustments, how well it can handle high pass and low pass filters, EQ adjustments. So especially when you're adding more bass or taking out some of the mids or adding more treble. We'll consider how it sounds when you do a kick drum scratch as well as a snare scratch. And also the echo out. How does it sound when it starts to trail off? Is it able to reproduce those sounds clearly? It's important to note that I'm testing all these speakers in their default or normal profile, so no bass boost, no extra coloration added. I do this to prevent any clash or any clipping once you add in any changes to the EQ. If you haven't already, this will be a great opportunity for you to go ahead and grab your headphones, grab a good pair of headphones or a good pair of in-ear monitors. Also, if you have some good speakers that'll work out fairly well, but I would just recommend going with a set of headphones. So in the next segment of testing, you will hear directly what it sounds like from Serato. So the left channel will only be playing what is directly lined out from Serato. The right channel will be the mic'd up version of the audio test directly from the speaker to help you hear what it sounds like in a room, specifically untreated in my case, and get a good idea of what it would sound like in real life situations. The advantage to using headphones is that you can remove one of the ear cups from your ear so you can listen to the source audio, which will be the line out, and then kind of listen to the speaker and compare and contrast real time. If you choose to use your speakers, then you can actually go to sound or system sound and properties, and you can set the left and right channel volume for each one so you can A/B test them real time by adjusting the sliders. If you're still hanging out with me to this point of the video, I really appreciate it. This will be a perfect opportunity to hear your feedback down there in the comment section. Please let me know which top 3 speakers you enjoy listening to or would prefer to purchase, and also an honorable mention, so your 4th pick. My final picks will be the Tronsmart Force Max, followed by the Tronsmart Mirror Tune, followed by the Soundcore Motion Plus, and my last pick would be the JBL Charge 4. It was really a toss-up for first place, so both the Tronsmarts did an excellent job. I think they both sounded really good with all the test filters, the adjustments, everything. The only thing is there's advantages and disadvantages to each one of those speakers. So I would say the Tronsmart Mirror Tune S100 sounded great. The extension or bass extension did not go down as low as the Force Max. But it sounded really, really good and clear, especially when you're making those changes. Now the Tronsmart, the bigger speaker, the Force Max, sounded excellent. The bass was there. The only thing was the resonance in the cabinet. So when the bass hit, you could feel the whole cabinet vibrate. And I think we was losing some clarity there. Made some songs sound a little muddy, but the one thing you could do was adjust the bass down probably about to, let's say about 1/3, and that would clean that up quite a bit. So I would hope to see that the Force Max would have a better EQ setting by default, or at least take out quite a bit of that bass for the default setting. I think the one thing that put the Tronsmart Force Max ahead of the Mirror S100, Mirror Tune S100, was the fact that it had the rear firing speaker as well. So the bass response and all that stuff is cool, but to have a speaker almost like a monitor directly in front of you to reproduce that sound was awesome. 3rd place for me definitely goes to the Anker Soundcore. So I would say 3rd place was not difficult at all. This is the one speaker that sounded clearest. I would choose any day for clarity, which was the Anker Soundcore Motion Plus. This thing really takes care of the highs very, very well. There's no problems with it sounding harsh. Definitely clear on the treble, the filter, high pass, low pass. No problems whatsoever with this speaker reproducing your highs. The only thing I would say for it is the lows. I was not getting the strong lows that I would expect from this particular speaker. Again, I am using the default profile. I know these have like a bass up feature that will give you a little bit more oomph. But when you're making adjustments to the filters and the knobs, the EQ knobs on your controller, it's easily to run into clipping when you have a speaker where the DSP is already turned up to add more. My honorable mention speaker, which was super surprising, was actually the JBL Charge 4. It was tough with this speaker. I wanted to really like it, not just because of the name, but because it is a trusted speaker throughout all the years. But what I noticed with this particular speaker is it sounded very, very harsh. I don't know why. I made a lot of adjustments. I made sure everything was set correctly. But compared to other speakers, this one sounded really harsh when it came to adjustments, filters, everything, echo out. I'm not sure if you're able to hear it in the recording, but I could definitely hear it live in real time. The only thing that I can think of is possibly because it was a single driver. Most of the other ones that I tend to like the sound signature of, they had a woofer to handle the lows and a tweeter to handle the highs, kind of separate that workload. So we only have 2 speakers left, so can you guess which one is the next up? So the Anker Soundcore Mini was an excellent little speaker. Let's be honest, it couldn't compete with the larger ones that I've tested early in the video, but the reality is this is a great portable, good sounding speaker when you're kind of in a bind. I can't stress enough about the portability part. It did pretty good overall. Of course, you can't expect the lows to be super low and the highs to be at the top of the mountain, but it's one of those things where paired with this controller here is like a 1-2 punch. They are super small and able to let you just take out your laptop, your smaller controller, and just a speaker to get going. And for the final speaker, it is the Tribit Stormbox 2. I did love the profile of the speaker. I did like the idea of the 360 sound, but there was one major issue that I could not let go. It's the fact that it adds additional latency. So when I first hooked up the speaker and tested it out with my equipment, I couldn't figure out why any time I scratched or tried to blend or mix, it just was not lining up at all. Then I started to listen to it a little closer and noticed that there was additional latency introduced during playback. So even if you listen to the audio of the test when I was testing it with the Mixar's mixer, listen to the line out audio and listen to the speaker's audio, and you can tell they're behind. I'm assuming that the DSP is adding a little bit more latency, which makes it difficult to mix, scratch, do all those alterations to songs that you would expect to be able to do during a normal session. So the speaker did sound pretty good. The bass was not super heavy or deep, but I did like the profile, the column size speaker, kind of set it in the middle of the table and let it do its work. But that extra additional latency can't work at all. It won't work when you're doing real-time mixing. So if you made it this far, thank you for hanging out with me. I really appreciate your time and checking out the video. I hope this video was super helpful. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and check out the website at www.xfaders.com.